three sports claim to be the sport of kings, water polo officially has the royal seal of approval. The Duke of Cambridge himself is a fan of this sport and played at a university and at a national level for Scotland. With the first set of rules being developed in 1885 by the Swimming Association of Great Britain, the sport combines speed, strength, and teamwork. Water polo is one of the most popular sports in the world, and a better understanding of this sport will give you the ability to understand the game when you watch. As a kid, I've watched water polo for the past 5 years. I've also read many books and articles going over the rules and regulations of this sport. Today, I'll first talk about the history of water polo. Then, I'll go over the rules and regulations, and finally, I'll talk about the USA Women's Olympic Water Polo team. The sport of water polo is not well known in central Nebraska, but that doesn't mean you can't retrieve a better understanding for this sport. Although the 19th century version of water polo and present-day water polo are drastically different, the objective of the sport remains the same. The earliest known documentation of modern water polo can be traced back to the late 19th century when British holiday resort owners invented this strange pastime in an attempt to attract guests. The first games were played in nearby rivers and lakes. The lakes and rivers were filled with murky water, which made it difficult to observe the players. After the sport took off in England, it migrated to the U.S. and was introduced to the nation in 1888. An English swimmer instructor, John Robinson, introduced the sport by organizing a team at the Boston Athletic Association. By the late 1890s, games were played in places such as Madison Square Garden and Boston Mechanics Hall, attracting 14,000 spectators to the games. According to the article Water Polo in the 6th edition Columbia Encyclopedia, when the game was brought to the U.S., an old rugby style of play similar to American water polo was used. The focus of water polo began to change due to players becoming forceful and harmful to the opposing team. For example, a game was scheduled against Hungary and the Soviet Union, but 4 weeks before the game, 200,000 Soviet Union soldiers marched on Hungary. This created conflict between the two teams, and the game got so harmful that they had to call it off, and Hungary won 4-0. Now that I've discussed the history of water polo, I will now talk about the rules and regulations that have developed over the years. The rules and regulations of water polo give the sport simplicity and structure, and the regulations of the pool have evolved drastically to ensure safety of the players and create enjoyment for the fans. According to the Funk and Wagnall's New World Encyclopedia, play begins when the referee, with each team spread along the goal line, throws the ball into the center of the pool. Each match consists of 4 quarters, with players using a combination of swimming, treading water, throwing, and catching the ball in an attempt to score on the other team. A championship course for men's is 30 by 20 meters, and the women's is 20 by 20 meters, with the pool depth being of at least 1.8 meters. Players are not allowed to touch the bottom of the pool for risking a minor penalty. Players can move the ball by throwing it to a teammate or swimming with the ball pushed out in front of them while only using one hand. Water polo matches have 2 referees, one stood on each end of the pool. According to the USA Water Polo rules, the referees whistle 2 different kinds of rules, minor and major. There is no limit to the number of minor fouls that you can have. In contrast, once a player receives 3 major fouls, they must leave the game and cannot return. Some of the most common minor fouls are wasting time, delaying too long before a free throw, and holding the ball underwater. There are 4 types of major fouls, also known as personal fouls. The referees can also give out yellow and red cards. Yellow card is given for the warning the behavior of somebody on the bench. The red card is given once the behavior has gotten to the point where it's no longer tolerated, and the player is asked to leave the bench for the duration of the game. Now that we've learned about the rules and regulations of water polo, I will now discuss the women's Olympic team. The women's water polo team has made their mark in history and intends to do so in the future. They became the first women's team to win back-to-back gold medals at the Olympics. The U.S. now has 2 gold, 2 silver, and 1 bronze medal, and many awards were given to the team after their performance at the 2016 Olympics. Captain Steffens won her 2nd MVP award based on her play in Rio after scoring 17 goals in 6 games. According to the reluctant Olympic goalkeeper Ashley Johnson, was named the tournament top goalkeeper after saving more than 65% of the shots thrown her way. At age 17, center forward Aria Fisher became the youngest female ever to win a gold medal in the Olympics. Team USA just recently punched their ticket to the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo after winning the World League Super Final. according to the article Swimming World, along with the gold medal won at the FINA World League Super Final in Budapest, Hungary, the team officially earned its place at the 2020 Olympics. This outstanding team is led by Adam Krikorian, who just recently celebrated 10 years at the helm and was named coach of the 2016 Games. As you can see, water polo has transformed into a prominent sport in both world sports and women's sports. Today, I first discussed the history of water polo. Second, I went over the rules and regulations, and finally, we talked about the women's Olympic team. Water polo has been around for more than 200 years, but still remains one of the most misunderstood sports. Water polo was once an attraction for hotel guests and is now transformed into an extenuous sport known across the world. With the 2020 Olympics coming up, the U.S. women's water polo team will continue.